In a small and quiet town, there lived a young woman named Mira. The town was peaceful but very slow. Most people did the same work every day and talked about the same things. New ideas were rare, and anyone who tried something different often became a topic of jokes. Mira knew this well, but she never let it stop her. She was calm, thoughtful, and always curious about things that others ignored. At the edge of the town stood an old train station. It had not been busy for many years. Weeds grew between the tracks, and birds often rested on the old signboard. Behind the station, there was a rusty locomotive. It had been left there for a long time. Its paint had faded, its windows were dusty, and its wheels looked tired. To most people, it was nothing more than a big piece of metal that had no use. One morning, Mira walked to the station with a small bag in her hand. She had saved money for many months. People saw her speaking to the station keeper and pointing toward the old locomotive. The station keeper looked surprised. He had not heard anyone ask about that old train in years. After a short talk, Mira gave him the money, and the locomotive was now hers. News spread fast. By noon, many people were talking about Mira and her strange choice. Some laughed and said she had wasted her money. Others shook their heads and wondered what she was thinking. A few people went to the station just to see if it was true. Mira did not care about the noise. She walked toward the locomotive and touched its cold metal side. She looked at it with soft eyes, like she saw something special inside it. To her, the locomotive was not broken or useless. She believed it still had a story to tell. That day, Mira brought cleaning tools, old cloth, and water. She started wiping the dirt from the windows. She cleaned the front of the train and brushed away the dust. Her hands got dirty, but her face stayed calm and focused. People watched from a distance. Some laughed and made jokes. Some felt curious. None of them offered help. As the sun moved across the sky, Mira kept working. She found small parts that were loose and placed them carefully aside. She checked the wheels and the steps. She looked inside the driver room and saw many old tools and broken seats. It was messy, but she did not feel sad. She felt excited. Mira remembered her childhood when her grandfather told her stories about trains. He used to work on railways and often spoke about how trains connected people and places. He said a train was not just a machine but a bridge between lives. Those words stayed with her. Now, standing in front of this old locomotive, Mira felt the same feeling. She believed that this train still had the power to bring people together. The next day, she came back early in the morning. The air was fresh, and the town was quiet. Mira brought more tools and started working again. She cleaned the inside of the train. She fixed small things that she could. She wrote notes in a small book about what needed repair. Some children passed by on their way to school. They stopped and looked at her. One of them asked why she was fixing an old train. Mira smiled and said she was giving it a new chance. The children did not fully understand, but they liked her answer. They stayed for a few minutes and watched her work. Soon, more people started coming to the station. Some still laughed, but others were no longer so sure. They saw Mira working every day with care and patience. She never complained. She never argued. She only worked. The rusty locomotive slowly began to look better. Its windows became clear. Its metal parts began to shine a little. Even though it was still far from perfect, it no longer looked like trash. Mira also started painting small parts of the train. She chose a bright blue color. It made the locomotive stand out against the old station. People noticed this change. The bright color made the train look alive again. A shop owner from the town came one day and asked Mira what she planned to do with the train. Mira told him she wanted to make it run again and turn it into something useful for the town. The man raised his eyebrows, but he did not laugh. He wished her luck and left. Each day brought small changes. A broken handle was fixed. A light was cleaned. A seat was repaired. Mira did everything slowly but carefully. She believed that even small steps could lead to big results. By the end of the week, the town had stopped laughing as much. People were starting to talk with interest. They wondered how far Mira would go. They wondered if the old locomotive could really move again. Mira did not share all her plans. She liked to let her work speak for her. She was not doing this to prove anyone wrong. She was doing it because she believed in the train. As the sun set behind the hills, Mira stood in front of the locomotive and wiped her hands. The blue paint shined in the soft light. The train still needed a lot of work, but something had already changed. It was no longer forgotten. And in the heart of Mira, a quiet hope was growing, strong and steady, like the tracks that once carried many journeys. Mira woke up before the sun. The small room where she lived was quiet, and soft light came through the window. She made a simple meal and picked up her tools. Every morning now started the same way. She went straight to the old station. Her mind was full of plans, even if she never spoke them out loud. When she reached the locomotive, she felt proud. The bright blue paint she had added stood out against the dull colors around it. The train still had many problems, but it no longer looked forgotten. It looked like something that was waiting to be used again. Mira climbed inside the driver room. Dust still covered many parts, but she could see the shape of things more clearly now. There was a large control panel, a seat, and many small levers. She touched each one carefully, learning how it moved. She had read many old books about trains. She had studied pictures and notes. Even though she had never driven a train before, she knew how it worked. That day, she focused on the engine area. She opened panels and checked inside. Some parts were old but still strong. Some needed to be cleaned. She used oil to make things move better. Slowly, the engine started to feel less stiff. It was like waking up a long sleeping animal. People passed by and watched. Some still looked unsure. A few people now brought her water or small snacks. They did not talk much, but their actions showed respect. Mira thanked them with a smile and went back to work. A man named Rob who ran a nearby store came one afternoon. He had once laughed when Mira bought the train. Now he stood quietly, watching her tighten a bolt. Rob asked why she never gave up. Mira told him that the locomotive reminded her of herself. It had been left behind, but it still had value. Rob nodded slowly. He had never thought about it that way. Children started coming after school. They liked watching Mira work. She showed them how a wheel turned or how a lever moved. They asked many questions. Mira answered all of them with patience. Soon, the old station became a place of learning and wonder. One evening, Mira tried turning a small part of the engine. A low sound came from inside. It was the first sound the train had made in years. People nearby stopped and listened. Mira felt her heart beat fast. She turned it again, and the sound grew stronger. It was not moving yet, but it was awake. The next days were full of careful work. Mira cleaned wires and replaced small broken pieces. She fixed the lights inside the train. When she turned them on, the inside glowed warmly. The train no longer felt cold and dark. The town slowly changed its view. The same people who had laughed now told others about Mira and her train. Some visitors came just to see it. The station was no longer quiet. Mira stayed focused. She made a list of what still needed to be done. The tracks had to be checked. The wheels had to be tested. The engine needed more care. It was a long road, but she was ready. One morning, she tried something new. She pushed a lever gently. The wheels moved just a little. The train did not go far, but it was enough to make everyone gasp. Mira closed her eyes for a moment. She felt joy rise in her chest. That small movement changed everything. The town believed now. People offered help. Some brought tools. Some brought old train parts. Mira accepted what she needed and thanked everyone. By the end of the week, the locomotive was stronger. Its wheels turned more smoothly. Its lights worked well. Its body shined in the sun. Mira stood back and looked at her work. The train was not ready for a full journey, but it was close. The laughter had faded. In its place was hope and pride. And Mira knew that the real journey was just beginning. The morning air was cool when Mira reached the station. A soft breeze moved through the old tracks, and the bright blue locomotive stood ready. It looked stronger now. The metal parts were clean, and the wheels shined in the light. Many people had gathered to watch. They were no longer there to laugh. They were there because they believed something special was about to happen. Mira climbed into the driver room. She took a deep breath and checked every control. She had learned each part with care. She touched the main lever and slowly moved it forward. A strong sound came from the engine. The locomotive began to shake. People stepped back, their eyes wide with excitement. The wheels turned slowly at first. The train moved forward just a little. Then it moved more. A clear whistle filled the air. It was the first loud sound the train had made in many years. Some people clapped. Some held their breath. Mira kept her hands steady as the locomotive rolled down the track. The train moved only a short distance, but it was enough to prove that it worked. Mira guided it back and stopped it safely. A loud cheer filled the station. The town had seen a miracle. After that day, the station became a busy place. People came to watch Mira test the locomotive. Each time, it moved a little farther. Each time, it ran smoother. Mira stayed focused and calm. She knew that slow progress was better than a fast mistake. Rob helped her check the tracks. The children brought small flags and waved as the train passed. Even the elders of the town came to see it. They shared stories of when trains once brought life to the town. Mira decided to fix some old train cars that were nearby. She wanted the locomotive to pull something. She cleaned the cars and made them safe. She added seats and painted them in bright colors. The station began to look joyful again. One afternoon, Mira invited a small group to ride the train. They were careful and excited. The locomotive pulled the cars slowly along the track. It moved past fields and trees. People smiled and waved from the town. The ride was gentle and smooth. When the train returned, everyone thanked Mira. They said it was the best ride they had in years. Mira smiled but stayed humble. She knew there was still more to do. The town changed because of the train. Shops got more visitors. Children played near the station. People talked and laughed together. The old place had become full of life again. Mira worked hard every day. She made sure the locomotive stayed strong. She trained a few people to help her. They learned how to check the engine and care for the wheels. The train became a shared dream. One evening, Mira stood on the platform and watched the sun go down. The locomotive rested quietly. It was no longer rusty and forgotten. It was a symbol of what belief and hard work could do. The people who once laughed now felt proud. They had seen how one person could change everything. Mira did not do it for praise. She did it because she believed in second chances. And as the stars came out, the blue train waited for its next journey, ready to bring even more wonder to the town. The blue locomotive became the heart of the town. Every morning, people came to the station with smiles. Children waited for rides. Shop owners opened early. The once quiet place now felt warm and full of energy. Mira watched all of this with quiet joy. She knew the train had changed more than just the station. Mira worked hard to keep everything running well. She checked the engine, the wheels, and the tracks every day. She wanted the train to be safe and strong. A few people from the town had learned how to help her. They came early and stayed late. Together, they cleaned and fixed small things. The locomotive was no longer just Myra's project. It was now the town's pride. One morning, a group of visitors arrived from a nearby place. They had heard about the bright blue train. They wanted to see it and ride it. The station filled with excited voices. Mira welcomed them and explained how the ride worked. She spoke with calm and clear words. The visitors were happy and impressed. The train took them along the track, past green fields and small hills. They took pictures and laughed. When they returned, they told Mira how special the ride felt. They said it was not just a train ride but a warm experience. Mira thanked them and smiled. Soon, more visitors started coming. The town felt busy in a good way. Small shops sold snacks and drinks. Local artists showed their work near the station. The train brought new life to everyone. One day, the town leaders came to see Mira. They had once doubted her. Now they wanted to support her. They offered to fix more tracks and build a small waiting area for passengers. Mira felt thankful. She had never asked for help, but she was glad to see people believe in the idea. With better tracks, the train could travel farther. Mira planned new routes. She wanted to show visitors the beauty around the town. She added small signs along the way to tell stories about the land and its people. The train ride became a journey through history and nature. Children helped paint the signs. Elders shared stories that were written on them. Everyone felt included. The town felt like a big family. Mira sometimes remembered the first day when people laughed at her. She did not feel sad about it anymore. She knew people often laughed at things they did not understand. Now they understood. One evening, as the train returned from a long ride, the sky was full of soft colors. The passengers were quiet, enjoying the view. Mira stood at the front, guiding the train with care. She felt proud but also peaceful. When the train stopped, people clapped. They thanked her for giving them something special. Mira thanked them too. She knew she could not have done it alone. The locomotive rested on the track, shining under the station lights. It was no longer a rusty old machine. It was a symbol of hope and hard work. Mira looked at the people around her. They were smiling, talking, and sharing stories. The train had brought them together. And she knew that something even bigger was still ahead. The blue locomotive was ready for more journeys, and so was the town. The blue locomotive became the heart of the town. Every morning people came to the station with smiles. Children waited near the tracks with bright eyes. Shop owners opened their doors early because they knew more visitors would come. The place that once felt empty now felt warm and alive. Mira watched all of this with quiet joy. She knew the train had changed more than just the station. Mira worked hard to keep everything running well. She checked the engine, the wheels, and the tracks every day. She wanted the train to stay safe and strong. A few people from the town had learned how to help her. They came early and stayed late. Together they cleaned and fixed small things. The locomotive was no longer just Myra's project. It was now the pride of the whole town. One morning a group of visitors arrived from a nearby place. They had heard about the bright blue train and wanted to see it. The station filled with excited voices. Mira welcomed them with a gentle smile and explained how the ride worked. She spoke clearly and kindly. The visitors listened with interest. The train took them along the track past green fields and small hills. The air felt fresh. Birds flew above as the locomotive moved slowly and smoothly. The visitors took pictures and laughed. Some sat quietly and enjoyed the view. When they returned, they thanked Mira and said the ride felt peaceful and special. Mira felt happy but stayed humble. Soon more visitors began to come. The town felt busy in a good way. Small shops sold snacks and drinks. Local artists showed their drawings and handmade items near the station. Music could sometimes be heard. The train had brought new life to everyone. One day the town leaders came to meet Mira. They had once doubted her idea, but now they wanted to support her. They offered to fix more tracks and build a small waiting area for passengers. Mira felt thankful. She had never asked for help, but she was glad to see people believe in the dream. With better tracks, the train could travel farther. Mira planned new routes. She wanted visitors to see the beauty around the town. She added small signs along the way that told stories about the land and the people who lived there long ago. The train ride became more than just a ride. It became a journey full of meaning. Children helped paint the signs. Elders shared old stories that were written on them. Everyone felt included. The town started to feel like a big family again. Mira often thought about the first day when people laughed at her. She did not feel hurt anymore. She knew people sometimes laugh at things they do not understand. Now they understood, and that made her heart feel light. One evening as the train returned from a long ride, the sky was filled with soft colors of orange and pink. The passengers were quiet, enjoying the calm moment. Mira stood at the front, guiding the train with care. She felt proud but also peaceful. When the train stopped, people clapped and thanked her. Mira thanked them too. She knew she could not have done it alone. The locomotive rested on the track, shining under the station lights. It was no longer an old forgotten machine. It was a symbol of hope and hard work. Mira looked around at the people smiling and talking. The train had brought them together. And she knew that something even bigger was waiting ahead. The blue locomotive was ready for more journeys, and so was the town. The town woke up with new energy. The blue locomotive was now a part of daily life. Every morning people came to the station not only to ride the train but also to meet friends and share stories. The place felt full of warmth. Mira watched all this from the platform with a gentle smile. What once began as a lonely project had become something that belonged to everyone. Mira still arrived early each day. She checked the engine and the wheels with care. Even though many people helped now, she never forgot how important it was to stay careful. The train was strong, but it still needed love and attention. She believed that anything valuable must be cared for every day. Visitors kept coming from nearby towns. Some came because they heard stories about the bright blue train. Others came because they wanted to feel the peaceful ride. They often told Mira how special the place felt. Many said they had never seen a small town feel so alive. Mira listened with a kind heart. She knew the train had brought joy, but she also knew the people made it truly special. The town leaders worked with Mira to make the station better. They added benches and small gardens. Flowers grew near the tracks. The air smelled fresh and clean. Children ran around and laughed. Elders sat and talked. The station became a place where everyone felt welcome. Mira also started teaching others how to care for the train. She shared what she had learned about the engine and the controls. Some young people became very interested. They practiced with her and grew confident. Mira was happy to see the knowledge pass on. She wanted the train to have a long future even after she was gone. One day, a large group of visitors arrived. They had come from far away. They wanted to see the train that had changed a town. The station was full of excitement. Mira guided them with calm and steady hands. The locomotive moved smoothly along the track. The visitors looked out the windows with wonder. They saw fields, hills, and the small town that now felt full of life. When the ride ended, the visitors gave kind words. Some even shared how the story of the train had inspired them. Mira felt her heart grow warm. She never imagined her simple idea could reach so many people. As time passed, the town became known for its blue locomotive. People spoke about how a forgotten machine was given a new chance. They spoke about how one person believed when others did not. Mira never thought of herself as special. She simply followed her heart. One evening, Mira stood alone on the platform. The sun was going down and the sky was soft and bright. The locomotive rested quietly on the track. It was clean and strong. Mira placed her hand on its side and felt thankful. She thought about the first day she bought the rusty train. She remembered the laughter and the doubt. None of that mattered now. What mattered was what she had built with patience and care. The town had changed. People trusted each other more. They shared ideas. They helped one another. The train was not just a ride. It was a symbol of what hope could do. Mira looked at the lights of the station. They glowed warmly. The air was calm. The town felt safe and happy. The blue locomotive would continue to travel. It would carry people, stories, and dreams. And Mira would always be there to guide it, with the same quiet belief that started it all.